We're looking at managing people in organizations, learning outcome 5 today. So I'll scroll down. So there's a number of points in here. So learning outcome 5 is review your own personal effectiveness. Now the key to this is, and what I found happens in a lot of essays or reports that I'm sent, is that students will normally do a review of personal effectiveness in general, but this is about you. So all of this section is you proposing it on you as if you're talking about yourself. Okay. So 5.1 is to identify your own preferred learning style. 5.2, describe the behaviors of people who are confident, lacking in confidence, and overconfident, and relate this to yourself. So tell me how confident they are, how much they don't have confidence, or how overconfident they are, and then relate it to how you are. 5.3.
What do you mean related to self?
Yeah, and then so you just talk about what sort of behavior a confident person has, what sort of behavior a person with lacking confidence has, that isn't too confident, and what sort of behavior a person who is overconfident. And then you're going to use all these 3 things, and you're going to say, I feel that I am confident because, and like that.
Yeah.
5.3 is explain the goal setting process and the difference between long-term and short-term goals. 5.4 is assess your own time management skills. And then the merits are, you've just got to set SMART targets for yourself, SMART personal and work-related targets. And then another section is you're going to prioritize your own workload. So just where you're putting in lists and making a schedule. And then the the distinction questions are devise solutions for handling non-productive time-wasting activities and use a range of tools and techniques to develop your own creativity at work. So a few points on here. And remember, again, it's up to you what you go for. So if you go for pass, just do this section here. If you do want a merit, do all of your pass and all of your merits. And if you want a distinction, do all of the questions. So let's make a start. Oops, I always do this. Need to go to the beginning. So for this section, we're just going to look at your preferred learning style. Now, there's lots of learning styles. There's sometimes there can be 4, and I think it's branched out to 7, but I always work on the 4 because they're the 4 basic ones. I've got an image here for you. Now, you've got 4 learning styles. You've got a visual, an auditory, a read-write, and kinesthetic. Now, a visual is where you're going to learn by seeing. So you're going to look at PowerPoints, charts, graphs, any picture aids, and you learn by seeing things. Auditory is where you learn by hearing. So verbal instructions, where you have discussions, where you might talk to your friend, or you might read. You might have a book in front of you, and you might read it out loud to yourself. Read-write learning style is where you actually read things and you write it down. So the best way to do this is by getting books and texts, looking at dictionaries, or even note-taking. And then you've got a kinesthetic learning style. And this is where you're learning by doing things. So it's where you might be an apprentice and you might learn how to put an engine together, or you might be in a cooking class, but you want to actually physically carry out. So the things that you're learning, you physically have to do them to learn them. So these are the 4 main ones. There's a learning style questionnaire, which takes about 20 questions, and it takes about 5 minutes for you to do. So to answer this question, you're just going to do
it. When I was gonna start this course,
you've done one, haven't you? Yeah. So you can just use that quiz, the answers that you got from there, and take a screenshot of it. If you don't have a picture of it, or if you don't have some sort of form or documentation of it, then you can go on this, which it just asks you silly questions, to be honest. Things like, what do you like what kind of book do you like to read for fun? And then I like to read a book with lots of words in it, so things like Harry Potter and so on. And then I'd go on and I'd go through to all my 20 questions. And when I did this about a week and a half ago, it showed me, because I was going to introduce this for one of my other classes as well. And I thought, let me do it first and see how it is. And it showed that I was a visual learner, 55%, and then I was a few percent mixed. So you can actually be a learner where you've got a mixed ability between everything.
Okay.
Yeah, this only takes about 5 minutes, and at the end, you just take a snapshot of it with your phone and then just attach it into your work. But if you've already got that one that you've done, this section's done for you.
But I don't think I got the answer.
Okay, so Karisa, I'll email this to you, or I'll give you. I'll put it into the assignment when I'm giving you the assignment on Monday, and then it'll be all in one place.
Okay.
So for 5.2, we're just going to look at the behaviors of people who are confident, who might lack in confidence and might be overconfident, and then you're going to relate these traits to yourself. So confidence is quite an admired trait in people. It really helps to recognize what sort of behaviors you've got. You know, it pushes you off. It helps you to believe in your own abilities. So a confident person will believe in their own abilities, talents, and strengths, and they're not got any doubts. They're not worried about it, or if they do have doubts, they know that they can overcome them. They've got a belief in them that they know that, you know, I can do what I can do, and they're not really looking for approval from other people. So they know what they know, they've got the respect, and they respect themselves, they respect the value of work, and they also treat other people in the way they want to be treated. So, you know, at the end of it, they're not afraid to, you know, stick up for themselves or speak out for themselves and say, right, you're not doing right by me. This is what needs to be done, or I feel that you're doing this. So they're not afraid of talking up. So those are some confident behaviors. And then they're quite certain and realistic about the goals that they can accomplish, and that they can actually identify themselves with other confident people and, you know, celebrate their successes. So if we were both confident people, I would say, oh, Victoria, you've done a fantastic job there. Well done. I wouldn't feel jealous of you. I'd be happy about what you've done. And a confident person will have big dreams, and they'll actually act them out as well, because they can see themselves going towards that goal that they're dreaming of, and they're open to new ideas, and they're willing to actually go for them. So we've got those there, and then we've got people who lack in confidence as well. Now, person who's lacking in confidence will say something, but then they'll sort of start giving reasons for their actions. They'll be like, oh, so for example, if you drop something, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, this was right at the edge of the table and this happened and I knocked into it, you know, over-explaining yourself, where it's okay to make mistakes. Things drop, you're like, you know, if a glass is broken or if something is broken, it's okay. You're human, it's going to happen. But for somebody who's lacking in confidence, might try and make up a little bit of a story to go along with it and start giving too many reasons. But you know what? I think that you can't be 100% confident in every single thing you do. Now, I'm confident about my job, very confident of how I know to work. Not overconfident, but I know that I can do things and I can support my students. But then there's certain other situations in life where I might not have that much confidence about, like new places or driving to a new area. I hate driving to places I've never been before. So, you know, you can be a mix of these things.
I feel like I'm very confident in like social gatherings and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm confident about the knowledge on it, but when it comes to work, I feel like because I have ADHD, it's kind of at the back of my mind, like I'm really nervous all the time to make a mistake because people really struggle to understand it.
Yeah, I think at the end of it, I don't really. When you told me you had ADHD, I didn't think, oh, she's not going to be able to do the work, or she's not going to do this, or anything like that. It just, I know that you'll get your work done, and you'll do it in your own pace, and it'll be perfectly fine. I think what happens is you are aware of yourself, and sometimes you end up doubting yourself and putting your doubts onto what somebody else might think. So just try thinking, I'm going to do the best that I can. If it's not what is expected, I can always go back and do it again. Remember, we learn by making mistakes. So believe me, there's nobody is perfect. Like I told you, the very first lessons that I made from scratch and I taught, I told you about this yesterday. It was horrible. It was the worst lesson. It was like I was just standing there blabbering on, muttering and mumbling, not knowing exactly what to do. So I wasn't confident in that, but I made mistakes and I learned from them and I knew how to do better. And you're going to be the exact same way. In 10 years' time, you're going to laugh at yourself and think, oh, did I really feel like that then? I can do anything now.
Yeah, probably I need to, when I'm gonna start growing up, because I only got to know about this about a year ago. So this is still kind of new to me. I've had this since I was little, and now I can see the signs, but I didn't.
There was no label on it, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm gonna grow up with it. And I'm gonna actually get comfortable and learn my own way.
You will. It's because it's pretty new. I mean, if you'd found out about this when you were, say, just starting high school, you'd probably be a lot more comfortable now because you would have set up ways of how you can learn. It takes time to develop yourself into a pattern or a new routine. So seriously, I don't think there's anything that is stopping you from doing this. If you're worried about something, ask. If you're if you send him some work and it's not quite right, it doesn't matter, seriously. The first assignment might not be the greatest. You might have to go back and do a bit more work. Second one will be better. Third will be better. And by the time you go to the end of it, you will know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't doubt yourself.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So a person who lacks in confidence will actually reply to criticism straight away. So if somebody comes to me and says, oh, you didn't teach a lesson that great today, and I'll be like, no, it's because I was up all night, or, I felt really thirsty and I couldn't get some water, or it's really hot right now. And, but a confident person will look at the criticism and then they'll actually, they'll sort of smile at it and think, okay, maybe there is an issue. Let me see what it was that I did, or how can I improve on that.
Okay.
A person who lacks confidence will do something called compensation. So, if you say, for example, there's an example here, saying a friend of mine looks really upset one day. And when I told him, he replied by saying, I never get upset and I never have problems. So, there is nobody in the world that will be happy all the time. Even if you put a face on for everyone and things, there's always going to be some problem or some issue. So you don't need to compensate for your lack of confidence or say that, no, everything's fine. You can't just say, yeah, look, I'm tired, I'm not feeling too great, or it's been an upsetting time. It's never too bad to just admit to saying, yeah, I have got an issue right now, but I don't want to talk about it. That's okay as well. So again, like I said to you earlier, everybody has their own weak points, seriously. I mean, I got into teaching a while ago, a very long time ago. And then I came back into doing more studying about 2-3 years ago. I hadn't done much studying. I was raising my family. I was off for a little bit on maternity leave, looking after my kids. And then I came back into it, and I came back and I started doing training again. And the first time I started doing training, I'd forgotten how to use software programs because I hadn't been on a laptop for so long. I didn't know how to lay out an essay. I was like, how do I do all these things? But as I kept on doing it and modeling through, to start off with, I got a lot more confident. So, like it is, you've all got your weak points, but you've also got your strength as well. Nobody is perfect. Just think, if you ever feel that you're struggling, just think, I've done the same thing. There's going to be a lot of people around you that struggle with something or the other all the time. Your body language as well, sometimes you'll be in the defensive position. You'll have your arms folded, or, you'll be crossing your legs and all that. I mean, when I go to the playground run to go and get my kids, I go with my sister-in-law. We live close to each other, and we've both got children in the same place. She'll be all sociable and saying, hi, hello, and all that. And I'll be like, putting my head down, crossing my arms, talk to me, that type of thing. So you do have, your body language can sometimes change depending on what situation you're in.
Sometimes unconsciously.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, please don't say hello to me. I'm not in the mood to talk right now. I've done enough talking today. I was like this last week because I had back-to-back lessons all day for the past 4 or 5 days, and I was like, no, I don't want to say hi. My voice hurts.
You speak a lot on these. If it was me, I wouldn't speak for a good 4 hours after this.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, never think. I mean, what, 10, 15. I'm 38 now, so you're a lot younger than me, from what I remember. Because you're in your early 20s, aren't you now?
I'm 19.
Yeah, so you're young. I mean, when I was 19, I was the same sort of way. So this confidence, it does develop. And being overconfident isn't great, but being naturally confident in yourself, you're going to develop that as you grow older, as you get more experience.
And I have to love myself for that. You know, confidence comes from loving yourself, taking care of yourself.
Exactly. And being, being aware of this is what I can do. I can do these things easily, and this is my limitation. So know what you can do and what you can't do. That's really important here.
And don't feel bad about it because,
No, so if you tell me now to go and teach a maths class, I'll be like, no, I can't do that. But anything, healthcare, business, English, any of these things I can pick up easily because I'm confident in my skills there. I'm confident in my parenting skills. I know what to do around my house. But new things I get a bit frightened of until I've got used to them. So again, it's as you get older and as you experience things. And it's not even age. As you start experiencing different things, it will come to you.
Yeah.
So we've got confident, lacking confident, and we've got overconfident people. Now, overconfident people are just over the top. They're loud, they're brash, they can be quite annoying sometimes. We've all know that kid in school where, they've just constantly been the class clown or disrupting people, and you're like, oh, just stop here. They can be cocksure, where they're just telling you things because they think they know everything, but they might not know anything at all. So their confidence is a bit too high, and it makes it a little bit. People think, oh, that it's a bit disgusting behaviour that you're doing because you're just going over the top. You need to calm down a bit, and then they can be a bit arrogant as well, and then also the ego will be very bloated. So those are some things. So you've got confidence, you've got lack of confidence, and then you go to the flip side of it where someone can be just over the top. They might not know what they're really talking about, but they just say that, oh, I'm the best, you should put your bow down to me and so on. So when in organizations, so in a business, wherever you're working on here, oh, sorry, we're on 5.3. I got so excited with all that. So 5.3 is explain the goal setting process and the difference between long-term and short-term goals. So we're just going to talk about how to set goals and then what is long-terms and what is short-terms and what the differences are. So in any business that we've been talking about over the past few days is that you will be setting goals. You will know what sort of profits you need, what sort of goals you need, and what you're actually going towards. So what activities you actually need to achieve those goals. So you might have a goal to sell a certain amount of something or make a profit on something or to introduce a new item to the market. So you've got different objectives and different things that you want to achieve. And you need them objectives to actually be specific so that you actually know exactly what you're doing, measurable, so that you know how you can measure the success. Is it when a new item has been taken out into the market, or is it when you've created that item or created the packaging for it? It's also got to be achievable, something that is realistic and that you can actually get to in the period of time. So if you say, I'm going to create a new product in 3 weeks, it's not going to happen because you're not going to get it designed, made, prototype, and then developed and manufactured to be out, to be selling to people in 3 weeks, are you? It's going to take you a lot longer. But if you say it's going to take 12 months for me to do that, that might be a better period of time that you can do it. So the importance of setting goals in a business is to make sure that you're actually getting a direction for your business. So you know exactly where you're aiming for and what you're doing. So you've got a common set of goals that everybody is trying to achieve, because they've all been set in place from the beginning, so that every person that's working in that organization knows where we're aiming to go. Now, goals are actually planned ahead of time, and they're part of something called strategic planning. So this strategic planning happens within organizations where the senior members or the CEOs, the senior management, they'll actually sit down, have meetings, and they'll set out what their main goals are. And then they'll let you know at the beginning of the financial year, this is what we're aiming for and this is what we want to do. So it's up to the employees then to aim for those goals. And they can also do that by being rewarded as well. So if they say we want you to meet your goals within 6 months and somebody meets it within 3 months, they would get a reward, a bonus, or a recognition like Employee of the Month. And it does boost your employees to actually work then. And then the final slide on this section is long-term goals that you have are strategic. So what they do is they make sure that they shape the overall direction of what the business is going to be doing. So they actually show you where your business is actually going. So when you achieve these long-term goals, it's a reflection of how well the management, the board has actually done, and they've actually met their organization's mission then. So long-term goals are the big goals that they're aiming for, say, over the period of 12 months if they're doing April to April in the financial year. So you say, my goal for this year is to make this much profit. And then if you achieve it, that's fantastic. Now, short-term goals are actually the goals that you might meet in the middle, the small milestones that you're going to achieve on a monthly basis. So, or on a smaller basis where you're actually saying that all of these short-term goals are leading me to go to the big goals over there. So if you say, I want to make £10,000 profit, then your goal might be to make £1,500 profit each month. You know, so to make yourself set up on a target where you know that you're actually achieving those goals then. So does that make sense about what the long-term goals are and what the short-term goals are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. So 5.4, we're just going to assess your own time management skills. Now, for your time management skills, time management is a really big thing, and it's something you're going to be doing now as well. You've got a life, you might be working, you might have other commitments. You've got this course that you're doing, you're setting time out to come to these lessons, and then you're going to set out time to actually sit down and do your essays as well. So managing your time is very important. Sometimes when you get too much going on at once, or even when you overthink things, you get stressed. And as time goes by, you feel like everything is piling up in one go. And you're like, how on earth am I going to complete this task? It's like a mountain of things that you need to do. So there's tricks to this, and this is something that I do on a daily basis. You get really effective at it. You get to know exactly what sort of skills you need and how you work best. So there are lots of time management things that you can do. Now, for me, I know that I don't normally do a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday. So I like to have these 3 days so I can spend with my family, just give them some time, help them study and so on. But over these 3 days, I actually get a lot of emails coming in, and I actually get a lot of work piled up as well. Things that I don't just teach the lessons, I actually mark the work as well. And then I'll make new lesson PowerPoint. So there'll be a lot of things that I do. So what I do is come Monday morning, I'll get my notebook out, and I've got a million notebooks. I'll get my notebook out that I fancy for that day. And I'll put down little pointers. I'll put down, right, I've got to assess these 5 pieces of work here, or I've got 10 pieces of work. And I'll write a list down, who sent me theirs first. And then as I'm doing it, I'll tick it off. In between, I'll do my lessons. Then I'll do an hour of planning. So everything that I'm going to do for that day, I write it down. everything that's extremely important, like that I can't miss, like I cannot miss lessons, I'll make sure I get those done first. They'll be my priority. Anything else will be what I can fit in and around, and that works for me. It keeps me on track, and having lists. I'm a very big person for having lists and organizing myself on calendars. So that's what helps me.
I set alarms.
Yeah.
I forget about my list. Like, I write down the list in the morning what I need to do, and then throughout the day forget it. So now I'm starting to set alarms. So like at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
And I name them of what I need to do. It really does help you.
Exactly, and it helps you to keep on track. So you know that, oh, I've had an hour of rest now. I need to get up and I need to do work now. So it does, yeah. Now, I work from home, so delegating tasks is not something I can do. But if you're in a business where you've got a lot of teammates, you can delegate tasks. So in that word delegation, it just means to share your tasks between everybody. So if you've got 7, 8 tasks that need to get done today, right now in the next hour, you can't do them all. So you've got a few team members, give them one task each to share your responsibilities. So that doesn't mean make them do everything for you all the time, but share them. Prioritize your work. Like I said, I make lists. I have to make lists of what I'm doing so I can tick off who I've done, what I've done, and I know how long. I don't like to keep my students waiting for too long for feedback. I want them to get it as soon as possible. So if you're waiting for a week for me to get back to you, it's going to be quite annoying, isn't it? So whoever sends me their work first, I'll work through it day by day. And normally I get everybody's done within the day because you keep on top of it then. Because otherwise, if I don't finish those, I'll get more that night and another the other night. Then it just piles up. So prioritize what work is important and focus on them. Schedule your tasks. Get a planner. A planner is fantastic, seriously. I've got a diary / planner where I put down everything I'm doing for my week. I've got everything booked in now. If I was going to talk to you about booking in lessons for the next unit, I'd be able to do that right now because I've got my planner right next to me, and I'd open it to the date we're talking about, and I'd be able to tell you what my availability is, and then you could do that. So having a planner on hand where you can put your to-do lists or put down everything that you've got planned for that day, it really does help. So finding a nice planner that you like is a good idea. And then set deadlines. I remember when I was creating a PowerPoint presentation for one new unit that's not been taught yet. And I thought, right, I'm going to teach this in a couple of weeks, but I don't want to take a couple of weeks to do this. So I sat down on a rare Saturday when I decided to work. And I just got through the whole thing on that day. I spent 3-4 hours on it. And I did from start to finish. I got all of the learning outcomes done and things. So I gave myself a deadline that I wanted to do, and I stuck to it, and it really did help. And then it's nice to have deadlines, challenge yourself, try and meet the deadline. But on the other hand, if you set a deadline where it's something new that you've not done before, and you don't want to set yourself up to fail, so make sure it's a realistic deadline. It might be something that you say, I'm going to finish by the end of the week, or it might be something you say, I'm going to do an hour a day. Whatever it is, make sure it's realistic and that you're not setting yourself up to fail by doing it too unrealistic. Now, avoid procrastination. Now, procrastination is, when you just keep overthinking things? When you're just sitting down, you're like, oh, I've got to wash dishes, I've got to cook dinner, and I need to go to my lesson, or I really should go out and do some shopping because we've run out of these things. But I don't want to do it. I can't be bothered, but I need to do it. That type of stuff where you just keep overthinking something. Just try not to do that. Get up, go do that one activity, then go on to the next, go on to the next. Because you get into a bad habit where you start overthinking things altogether.
Yeah.
Now,
finish it, but it's just the start.
Yeah, it is. It's true. It's the start of anything that can be an issue to start off with, can't it? If you're sitting down and you're starting writing an essay, or you're reading a book, or physically you don't want to move from the position you're in, but once you've moved, once you've done it, it can help you. Now, avoid stress. If you're busy, if you don't have the time to do something, and this is something that I've learned the hard way, where you say, oh yeah, I'll do this. Oh yeah, I can do that for you. And you try to be a people pleaser, or you just you think, oh, okay, I've got to do this and I have to do it. Don't take on more stress. Don't take on more tasks than you need to. So if you can't physically do the work at that time, say, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can look at this for you next week, but I can't do it today. Or I'll get it done for you in 3 days when you know you've got a bit of extra time. So don't take on too much work that you can't and make yourself stressed, because the only person that's going to suffer is you. When you start feeling tired, your productivity, your work is going to suffer. And then multitasking. Now, sometimes we think multitasking is good. So we'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that as well. Or I'll do this phone call and answer an email at the same time. You end up spending too much time on it, because most likely you probably end up spending double the time that you would if you had just done those separately. So do one task first and then go on to the next task. Don't try and mix things together. And this is the last slide on this. Start early. So what a lot of successful people have said is that they actually have one thing in common, that they start their day early, because it gives them time to sit down and think and plan their day. They're more calm, they're more creative, they're more clear-headed, because they don't feel like, oh, it's 12 o'clock, I should have wasted half the day over here. Because as your day goes on, your energy actually starts to go down, and it does affect your productivity. I find that I work better first thing in the morning, and by the time it's the evening, I'm knackered then. So I like to set up my lessons, my teaching, my planning, any of those things. I like to have them done round about up until 3 to 4 o'clock, because I know that is the best time that I will work. It's quiet at home and I don't have any issues or any distractions. So it's nice to figure out what's the best working time for you, and mostly starting early. And again, this is important. Take regular breaks. Now, I am really bad for this. I'll sit for hours at my desk and I won't take breaks until my eyes have started feeling heavy or tired, and then you know that is too long then. So take regular breaks, 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes sitting in one position is not good. Your hands can get cramped up if you're constantly on a laptop. So make a schedule. If it helps you, set an alarm. Like you said, you set alarms for your tasks, but you can set alarms for your breaks and say, right, I've got 15 minutes. I'm going to do this activity. After 15 minutes, I'm going to go and do a 10-minute break. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to have a cup of tea, I'm going to do a few jumping jacks or listen to some music, or just even have a quick chat or look at my phone. So, have some breaks. So that is for there. Now, oops, wrong place. I'm going to show you here now. So for 5M1, there's 2 tasks on here. You're going to set SMART targets, which are personal and work related, and then you're going to prioritize your own workload. Now for here, all you need to do is, are you aware of SMART targets, of how they work? No, I'll explain it to you. So SMART targets are just, like when you're setting out a task for yourself, you're setting up a goal, like a development plan. You're just setting out a particular target. So you might have 4 or 5 targets, or you might just have one. But you're going to set up a SMART target, and it is SMART because it's mnemonic. Mnemonic means SMART. If you see the first letter of each one. So a SMART target is something that is specific. Yeah, I'll actually show you examples of one in a minute. You got measurable. So specific is you know exactly what it is, what you want to do, and why you're doing it. Measurable is how are you going to track it? Are you going to finish the course? Are you going to get a certificate? Are you going to get feedback on assignments? Are you going to get a degree or a diploma? How are you measuring it? Agreed is the actual target that you've made. Is it agreed with everybody? So you're working in a business. Does your manager think it's good? Do your employees think it's good? Is it working for you? Sometimes this can be called achievable as well. So it's just how you can get to it. But for business, it's slightly different. Realistic is, can you realistically do what you're planning to do? And time bound is, how long will it take you? Then you've got a couple of other things that I just added on for extra. Is it ethical? So are you going to do anything that will compromise the ethics within your company? So if you're going to do a survey of, or you're going to do some research on a particular topic and you're going to have access to your customers' dates of birth, personal details, are you going to share those details, or will you, cover data protection and so on? So are you going to make sure that it's ethical so nobody can see those details besides you? And then recorded is, how are you going to put your goals towards this progress? So how are you going to say that this is done? Are you planning it properly? And are you monitoring it? And are you reviewing it? Now, I've actually got one that's quite a simple form of this that some of my level 3 students have done. Let's see where it is. Yep, I think it's that one. So it's in the form of a personal development plan. So it can differ ever so slightly, but the idea is still there. So they created something called a SWOT, which is where they checked out what the strengths were, what weaknesses they had, what opportunities they had, and what threats they could have to stop them from doing certain tasks and activities. And then we set down some goals. So it's just simple as what you've got on my screen here. So on this section, they've just put on what they want to learn, and they took down the targets. One had to complete a level 3 healthcare course, then apply for nursing, then attend the university nursing course, and then to gain a nursing job. What things they have to do, what resources they need, how are they going to measure their success? They put down to getting admission to university, when they get the degree, when they get a job, and when they're going to review it. So it's quite simple on top of here. And then you would set down some goals, short-term goals. What am I going to do in the next 12 months? Medium-term goals, what am I going to do in the next 2 to 3 years? And then long-term goals, what am I going to do in the next 4+ years? So they are quite nice and simple. It's not as difficult as it seems when you look at all these fancy words like SMART and so on. Now, for when it says prioritize your own workload, all you've got to do in this section here is put down a paragraph about how you're going to prioritize your own workload. You can just talk about how you're going to create notes and lists and schedules, make yourself alarms and reminders, and get a calendar set up for yourself, so you can work in the way that's most important. Now, for the distinction one, where it says devise solutions for handling non-productive time-wasting activities. Now, these time-wasting activities are things where you might just get up and start looking at your phone in the middle of working, or you might start chatting to someone, or someone walks past and you start looking up and down. Now, I used to be quite bad in the beginning, where whenever my phone tings a lot, because I've got a lot of groups on here, especially for my students, and I get a lot of emails and WhatsApp messages during the day. But I won't look at my phone now until I finish my task. So when I know that I'm marked, for example, if I'm marking your work, I won't touch my phone until I finished marking your work. So I've got a solution for that. Finish your activity, then you can mark your work. Then you can look at that phone. Yeah.
Properly, and then I will look at my phone.
Exactly. And then if you're in an office and you're like, oh, whenever I go to the drink of water, I might get people start chatting to me. So the way to handle that is make sure you just get a big bottle, fill it up once in the morning, and then put it on your desk next to you, so you're not walking around. Make sure you're only saving the chatting for breaks and lunchtime. So just like little things that you can do. And then the final section is just look at a range of tools and techniques to develop your own creativity at work. Now, when you're being creative at work, there's loads of things that you can actually do. So you put down ideas in a notebook, you might create a mind map, or you might want to just sort of like, yeah?
Like keep you interested. not just words and.
Exactly, yeah. So there's so many things that you can do to just develop your own creativity at work. So you just need a paragraph about how you develop your own creativity and what sort of techniques or tools you use. Some people use calendars, some people like to use fancy software programs. I just like to have a notebook and a pen next to me and jot down anything. So as I'm going across now, if I see something wrong with any of these PowerPoints, or if I see there's something that I could do, but I'll note it down and then I'll go back when I've got free time and I'll go and fix those issues. But yeah, that's about it. So that's all we wanted to go over. I'm going to turn the recording off.